If you clicked on this video, there's a great possibility that you have already watched a lot of videos about color theory and how to use it, but every time you go back to drawing and try to apply that knowledge, it doesn't really work. You still don't know where to pick the colors that you want, and you can't seem to make color combinations that work together. In this video, I'm going to show you how I pick colors. Now, I'm a self-taught artist. Recently, I've been relearning a lot and I realized a lot of things that I could improve upon and that could help my art to get a little bit better than what I already have. I want to share with you the things I learned that made it easier for me to pick colors and to just handle them in general. Now for this we're going to look at some basic knowledge. The color wheel is this wonderful place that sometimes feels like a maze, and you just look at the color that you want in your reference and you're trying to pick it, and I swear to God that color does not exist on your color wheel. It's like a labyrinth. And sometimes that might be because the color is not actually what you think it is, but we are going to get to that later. First of all, we're just gonna retake a little look at the color wheel. The color wheel is based on how the colors interact with each other. The layout just guides you to pick the right colors. You just need to know a few combinations. Complementary colors, for example, are the ones opposite of each other. They are high contrast, they are very useful and always look good together, like red and green, and these really work well together and you want to use them. The same goes for monochrome colors, so the colors that you pick here are all from the same hue. There's very little contrast in these colors, they just give you that sleek look to the drawings and it's very nice. But picking these color combinations is probably the easiest step. After that, you need to figure out which colors in these specific areas you need and how much you have to change in hue, value and saturation to make them actually work together. The hue is the outer circle. This is where you select different colors, like we already said. This is where you orient yourself for color combinations. The value is the lightness and darkness of a color and is selected by going up and down the color wheel. Saturation is the intensity of a color and is selected by going left and right on the color wheel. Hue, value and saturation move in union. If you change one of these, you should change something about the other ones too. If you don't, then sometimes your colors start to look ashy or muddy. They just don't work together because you haven't changed enough. Now, this is of course a little bit different when you work with a monochrome color combination, for example, because obviously it's monochrome, you don't want to change the hue. But for the other ones, you kind of need it, especially if you're picking realistic colors, then you want to be able to shift these in the right direction. The next question obviously is, what's the right direction? Like, where do we go from here? I know I need to change these, but how? For the most part, I can give you two specific tips when it comes to in which direction you should go with. The first tip is, if you are picking a darker color, make it more saturated, because darker colors are more saturated usually. So go a little bit, and I mean just a tiny bit, into a more saturated territory. And for lighter colors, you're going to do the opposite. A little bit less saturation, because when something is in light, it's less saturated. These can vary a bit. They don't always have to work like this, but most of the time it will work like this. Now, you need to be very careful about changing these things, because a little bit goes a long way and you see the difference immediately. Saturation is also often the main thing I see beginner artists struggling with, and I mean that's very hypocritical coming from somebody who like bombs paintings with colors and a little bit too much saturation, but it's still something I try to go back a bit, because if you just have bright neon colors, the painting is not going to look balanced. Like, the colors overtake everything and it's not as pleasing to the eyes. It's not warm, it's more like too bright. Like, you know how some people have these white Christmas lights and they're terrible because they just hurt my eyes. That's the way I feel about this. Like overly neon saturated colors. Yeah, because I'm more of the like warm light Christmas person, you know? But it actually is a thing, and I myself want to do a little bit of maybe some studies where I'm not allowed to use saturated colors, because I mean, it would probably do me good, because I do oversaturate my colors a lot. Now, when you're using saturation, this is also where you have a lot of control over where your viewer is gonna look at. So the most saturated point in your drawing should be something you want the person to look at your art to look at. And that's where you place the most saturated part of the drawing, because it's just gonna be like a bright neon sign saying, look this way. And of course you move the hue and the value with the saturation, depending on if you want a lighter color or if you want a darker color. For the hue, you also need to know in which direction you need to go with the hue. Like, for example, if you are at an orange color right now with the hue, you're going to have to know, do I want to go towards red or do I want to go towards yellow? Which colors fit the color scheme you are using better, and you shift it a little bit, not even much. There's not gonna be a lot of difference. You're almost not going to be able to tell that you shifted hue, but you will see the difference in the color you picked, because it's just way more natural. Colors aren't that simple that you go, oh, this is the one color this has. No, there's a lot of different colors in one object, and you have to kind of be flexible and move the color wheel a lot, because it all works together. So what we learned so far is move the hue, the value and saturation together. You want to pick a darker color, then go with more saturation, and you want to pick a lighter color, then less saturation. And don't overdo the saturation. Start with pretty base colors, like somewhere around here. Then you just have more flexibility to work out what you really want to do, because if you have overly saturated colors from the beginning, you can't work out this composition with the colors that you honestly kind of want. So the image just looks more interesting and balanced. It just gives it a bit more room for the viewer's eyes to take it in. On to the next topic, and this one is going to be a hard one to explain, because I mean, these things, I think you can explain them as much as you want, but people have to like just experiment it for themselves and find out what it's really like to do this. The next thing I want to talk to you about is color context. Oh, my dear color context. This is the part where we got all those color theory memes from, where somebody picks a color and then drags it out of context and it's just a whole different color. And this is, yeah, this is tricky, and it takes a lot of you know, patience to learn how to see through this. But it's also not that bad once you get what it actually is. Basically, color is dependent on its surroundings. Even though you may think this color obviously appears as one, doesn't mean it is this color. Our mind just subconsciously is influenced by the colors surrounding this specific color, and you can't tell it's actually something else. To see what the color of this thing actually is, you would have to drag it out of context and put it on a neutral background. there's many methods to do this. A lot of people just, you know, cover the other colors with their hand, or like have a little piece of paper with a hole in it to figure out which colors is. Or if you're, honestly, if you're digital, you could just color pick it. But in general, if you want to get better at picking these colors yourself on a color wheel, I definitely recommend you do a color study where you actually go and pick these colors. I can make a video about how I made my color studies. They were a bunch of fun. I loved doing them, and I was happy to see how close I got to the original colors when picking them. I was kind of surprised that I was able to do that. But hey, wow! Level up! I gained a skill! I got better at it while doing the study. Another very important thing to know about when you're working with color is that color is dependent on light. Since the light bouncing off of the surface of objects and back into your eyes is what actually creates color. Well, I mean, the color doesn't exist that way. It's your eye that perceives the color as being there when it's actually not. It's the same thing as when it's dark, you know, you don't see much color anymore. It's just dark and everything kind of looks black and white. And since color is so dependent on light, depending on your lighting situation, your colors will change with it. Like you have a rainy day outside and everything starts to look like you're in Twilight. I'm joking, it doesn't look like Twilight. Twilight got a weird color theme. But, you know, everything is kind of grayish, but it's a vibe. And of course, this is also where bounce light and stuff influences colors. So yeah, the studies really do you best when it comes to this kind of stuff. And you should do one if you feel uncomfortable about picking colors, maybe for like a week or something. Keep picking your colors like you do. Just pay attention to where you are on the color wheel. Maybe pick some colors off the reference photos you have, then take a look at where that is on the color wheel, and then start doing a study, or do a study right now. You can search it up on YouTube how to do one. It's really easy. I mean, I can make a video about it too, because they were so much fun. I'd love to do another one, just a tiny one for a video. But yeah, they're very satisfying to do. Just make sure you don't have an overly complicated subject at first, something simple that you can easily draw and just concentrate on the colors instead of any complicated stuff. Anyway, I hope this video is, I mean, it might have been a little bit messy, but I hope it still gave you some new knowledge, or maybe not that, but at least entertainment, you know. I hope you suffered well through this video. I mean, you watched this video with all your might and you were happy about it. Yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you liked this video, even though it was a mess. I am always messy. Don't expect anything more. I mean, not that I'm not trying, guys. I'm trying to do organized. I'm just not that kind of person. Anyways, I hope you like it. I got a few more videos planned. I want to do some more study videos. I have an anatomy study video planned, but I think after this video, the first one that will come up is the Instagram feed video, where I share with you how I designed my Instagram feed. It's pretty basic, but I mean, I struggled for years trying to find out how to make my Instagram feed look better. And I mean, I watched other Instagram feed videos, but they just weren't what I wanted, because I had this specific problem that all my drawings obviously have a bunch of different colors and they would clash with each other all the time, and I just didn't like what my Instagram feed looked like. So now that I finally found out how to do it, maybe somebody else has the same problem and hasn't figured out how to do it yet. So I'm just gonna tell you how I did that. Follow me on Instagram if you want to see more, since this is probably where I'm the most consistent. I also have a TikTok and Ko-fi, which there's nothing on Ko-fi much yet besides my commissions. My commission info is on there, and I want to add some products to my shop soon, but that's all still in progress. Me and my friend also made an artist support server on Discord. Check it out if you want to find like a little community where you can share your art and chat about artist problems. It's really nice. It's a really small community. Also, my YouTube channel is kind of new. Yeah, I haven't made many videos yet, but if you want to help me out a bit, maybe check out some of my other videos that I have up. They're mostly speed paints, but there's also a story time video about the time I got my van, and another video about how I made my secret handwriting, which I use every day because I can't write normally anymore, and it's more fun this way. Come on. Like, why do it boring if you can make it fun, you know? Anyway, see you next time. Bye!